Okay, so I'm going to talk about this book, Bung, Karno's Indonesia. I'm going to kind of give it a breakdown. This was done by U.S. academics, field report staffs, and covers a lot of different things. So I took pictures of some of the important pages, some of the important graphs, and I'm going to go over that. This was revised and done in 1961. A lot of the reports were done before that. This is also from a very American standpoint, a very academic American standpoint. Finding issues, finding problems. So it's definitely not all pro-Indonesia. It's not all against Indonesia, but the consensus is what is going on over there and what is happening with Bung Karno's cabinets. So I don't want anybody to take offense at anything that it says. It's just a historical foreign analysis of the country. So let's go ahead and take a look. I took pictures of a lot of pages. Hopefully I don't get in any kind of copyright problems. Most of the book isn't shown, but it's just some interesting things from within. It talks about economic situation, foreign aid, and how that came in at that time period, from 1950 or 1945 until 1959 when most reports were out, 1961 when this came out. And then it also has the PKI, and the differences in them between like 54 and 58 and their messaging and what their prospects were for the future. Even though we all know how it ended up, the book is kind of a snapshot in time. So I'm going to take a look at some of this with you. Hopefully nobody takes any kind of offense. It's just an academic look at what was going on in the country for that snapshot in time.
Okay, so let me say that this isn't all my opinion. I don't agree with everything they say. But the book is pretty interesting in the fact that it presents so much, because they were in country, they talk about what they actually saw. So they talk about what the field staff is, who they were, what institutions they were from. They actually were in Indonesia to write during this time. The foreword, they talk about, what the plans were, who is part of the field staff. And here is kind of an ominous warning when they're talking about how, what's going on, Uzbek and the plans they had was going to fail and there was probably going to be violence. And they say, at some point, not just the wrong men, but the right men may take charge. If we look at the table of contents, it covers all kinds of different things, from banking to everything. And it does have a ton of interesting photos from the time, different institutions. It's got a lot of photos of President Karno and different events, different places. It covers a lot. I mean, the book really, because the academics were there and the 25 reports that were written within, it is their opinion, it is their experiences, but they did have at least an idea of what was going on. So here's international policy. If you look, play up to the USSR, fend off the US. This is the actual money, economic assistance by location. So you see the Soviet bloc in 1950 until 59 was 204 million. The US from 45 until then was, a lot more, but the Soviets did add more later on. You see the different aids. US economic aid to Indonesia and where it came from. Some of it was grants, some of it was loans, some was agricultural surplus that could be paid for in rupiah. So it's just the different, facts of the economic situation. And not all of it was super serious. Here was a conversation with a bajaj driver. Bajaj driver was talking about the economic situation. But here at the end, they're not devoid humor. I paid him 25 rupiahs, thus contributing to inflation. Felt like a rich American tourist. And then here is the PKI. The PKI, they're talking about, the gains that they've made between 54 and 58 when they released two different introspective thoughts. And then there's actually a list, point by point, of differences in what they were thinking. So if you look, there's, they switched from the Netherlands being the major imperialist to the Americans Since they had 1.5 million people as members versus before, the plans got a lot bigger, different governmental approaches, different systems they wanted to implement. So if you want to watch this again or screenshot it, however you want to do it, there is really, really interesting information here. And you see the PKI progress from, just a few years before. It's a really interesting book. A lot of stuff I didn't cover, but hopefully this had some interesting information.